Their big elephant in the room is the Wall Street money coming in and changing our business. How do you survive in a world where all this mass marketing money comes in? Like 5 Morgan & Morgans come into your town. The only way to survive is to build a brand. Outside of our area, people don't know Cordisco Saile. They can't spell it and definitely can't remember it. So putting that on a billboard or something else is just like everybody else. You can be efficient as you can, but if you don't have the brand, you're not going to be able to stop these monsters coming in.
Welcome to the Jon Marc Podcast. Today, we are joined by Michael Saile. He is the co-founder of Cordisco Saile.
Managing partner and trial attorney. So
Yep.
I'm still wearing those 3 hats.
They are located in Bucks County, just outside of Philadelphia. I've had the pleasure of working with Michael since, 2021, 2022, somewhere around there. I've watched the firm grow. We're going to talk a lot about the growth that his firm has gone through, how they've achieved it. Thanks for joining us, Mike.
Thanks, great to be here.
I think the first time we actually met was at NTL in Miami
We did.
4 or so years ago. I remember talking to you and you were telling us about your partner and how the firm was going through an evolution and how you really wanted to grow and you wanted to put together a strategy that got you guys to the next level. Your partner, Jon, has been part of the firm since the beginning, but he's also known in the local area, right? And that's how kind of he got his local notoriety. How has that helped the firm grow?
So we're about 10 years. This June will be our 10th anniversary together. Jon was a local politician, kind of. He was in the State House when he was 21 in Pennsylvania, and then was a Democratic Party chairman for 25 years.
Wow.
I didn't know him before. We ran into each other at the gym. I met my wife at the gym too. Just things happen. When you spend 2 hours a day or an hour and a half a day there, things happen at the gym. So anyway, I met him. We had lunch together, starting hitting it off because I was into grassroots marketing. I was always an entrepreneur at that time. Jon liked my ideas, but he worked for a bigger law firm with like 80 lawyers. And although he brought the most money in, like big bank accounts and stuff, they didn't get benefits or get paid on non-PI work that they brought into the firm. So he was like, I don't know what I want to do. And then we hit it off. And it was kind of a guy you go into a bank with, 10 people come up and shake his hand. So I figured if I could take my grassroots marketing knowledge with low budget, at the time I was working with my father, who's an estate planner, by the hour work, we didn't have a big budget. So if I took my knowledge in marketing at that time, I was doing videos in my basement, green screens and all that all by myself.
10 years ago.
Yeah, 12 years ago.
12 years ago.
12 years
You're
ago.
ahead of the curve.
At that point, I figured if I could take my knowledge and energy to him and his energy too, with somebody that's locally famous, we can hit it off. And we've grown a lot in the last few years. We had COVID in the middle and, different hiccups and, things as you grow and progress. But I think in the last 2 years, we've grown almost 300%. With new cases, probably grown about 200% or maybe 100% in revenue because it takes a while to get that coming in.
A little delay
We're
on that.
growing, scaling, we're hiring like crazy. Things are good right now. It's just managing those steps, money-wise, staffing, making sure the client experience is there the whole time.
Mike is one of the more aggressive managing partners and firm owners that we've encountered. He frequently will reach out and ask a question about something, or we'll get on a call and you'll be diving into the specific metrics that are relevant. You talk about expansion. We had a strategic conversation about how you expand out locally. You've done a great job taking the firm from its origin with a partner who is ingrained in the community, and now you're a next level firm. You're one of the top firms in your area. You're a podcast host.
Yeah.
You haven't abandoned the things that you talked about doing 12 or so years ago. You've just expanded on them and made them modern.
Yeah, we started with just the 2 of us and then brought over somebody else. And now we just hired 3 lawyers this month, one of them being my wife. But, we're actually...
Great hire.
Yeah. She always wanted to come.
Tough negotiator.
She was a criminal defense attorney and running from court to court to court. And then realized, looking at my associates, if they work hard and do well, they can make a lot of money. So she's here. Finally, we have a woman attorney there to break up these 4 or 5 men that are there. So everything's good. Culture's good. We've been growing that with new hires and keeping an eye on that. But, so far so good. And every month's a new adventure.
But one of the things I was always impressed about you is I've had many conversations in the years where Jon will be surprised that you bring new marketing trends to him. You are on top of everything that's going on. So like, how do you balance that of staying on top of up and coming things while running the entire firm?
That's always the equation, right? So a few years ago, we had an office manager, kind of case manager take over. And the idea was that Jon and I had, because it came from some coaching ideas we had, and it was like, okay, now Mike, you can become the trial lawyer and do more cases. Because at that time, we were really starting to get on some multi-million-dollar cases. I was running them with Jon's supervision. And he's like, oh, now we can be more of a trial lawyer. And then for me, I had all these ideas pent up over years that finally when I had this person take over operations, now I got to all the different things I couldn't get to over the years. But to answer your question is, it's constantly staying in the right frame of mind, coming to conferences like this. That's how I met Jon. Like he was speaking here, I don't know, 2021, maybe something like that. And I think you just filled in for somebody that canceled, if I remember.
I do remember that, actually. I forgot about that story. There was someone whose flight got canceled, and they had me jump in and present, and I had basically nothing prepared. I whipped up a presentation deck,
Sounds familiar.
got on stage.
And he killed it. And I'm like, this guy knows what he's talking about. Because we went through SEO companies, every 3-4 years, you're maybe looking for a change, depending on the market's tough. Google's up and down. You guys have no control over it. You do your best. And then you got crazy stuff like AI moving in and LLMs and all that kind of stuff. So, moving forward, it's a new adventure. But going to conferences, being part of coaching groups, being part of masterminds, do all that. And that feeds my brain so I could be the visionary of the firm. But at the same time, I'm growing, so I still love handling cases. I still love doing depositions at times. Just not too much of that, because that becomes very stressful and takes me away from the leadership part of the firm. It's a balance.
How much caseload do you allow yourself to be involved with?
Every month I try to thin it down. But like I had a case last year, we just resolved it. It was 26 depositions I had to take.
Oh.
Thank God for video and Zoom depositions, because in the old days, we'd have to go to a room like this, lights,
travel,
camera, all these people and travel. Now we're able to do that. So I just finished 2 monster cases, multi-million-dollar resolutions. One was set for trial next week. Thank God it settled. I booked this just in case it settled. And thankfully, I looked at my room bill today. It was the last room we could get, so it was very expensive.
Yes.
You resolved those 2 cases, but you also wound up getting a case from the nursing home explosion. I remember it was in Bucks County a couple weeks ago, and I remember seeing it on the news, and it said Bucks County nursing home explosion. So I immediately Google it to see how close it is to your office. I'm like, I bet you this is relevant to their firm. And next thing I know, I hear you guys wound up signing up the case. A lot of firms look at those big catastrophic events and they think like, okay, let me talk to my marketing agency. How do I get one of those cases when those things happen? How did you wind up getting that case?
So you have like 10 of them, right?
We have probably over 12, but
yeah,
there was 3 deaths, unfortunately. And thankfully, we have one of the deaths of the nurse. And it comes from relationships in the community. Another business owner that knew them brought them over to us, and they're a really nice family from Kenya. So they took a little while to get settled in. And then actually, Jon and I went to the funeral last week, and it was just a beautiful celebration of life. But what that allows us to do is get to know that person. We're watching all of these speeches and memories and everyone talking how great this nurse is, but now we can actually feel her. So when we're fighting for her, we now have a person, not just a name, and we can really feel it in our hearts. So that really energizes Jon and us to do that kind of thing. So it was snowing that day too, but it was well spent going out there last Saturday and spending 3 hours, and before even mass started, and they were just giving speeches about how wonderful this person was. So we got that case, and then another cases kept coming in, but it was the same day we had our Christmas lunch for our staff. I get home, it was about 4 o'clock because we had lunch earlier. I'm looking on TV about this horrible explosion, and then everyone behind on TV, from the governor to the local politicians to the local agencies, they're all my partner Jon's friends. I'm like, Jon knows everybody up there. So we put a page up. We were trying to be respectful to the families. We didn't really want to go overboard.
It's a fine line you got to like balance on those local events when they just happened.
We saw some other attorneys like really putting stuff out there, and we're like, let's do it in a tasteful way and try to be a source of information and help, since we have connections in the local community. And it turned into 13, 14 cases now, and hopefully working on getting one of the other death cases now. So we'll see how that works. And then that means we'll be leading the litigation, which is even more interesting because we have the majority of the cases.
After the first case wound up getting signed up, what type of local press did you wind up doing, or coverage did you get, and how did that help?
The local newspapers are familiar with our firm, so they were running constant stories on that. I came back from a trip between the holidays, and the next morning, Jon's, okay, I want all the attorneys dressed up. We're going to meet with this family. So we came in and did that. Then the next day, the register of will was there. But after that, we filed the lawsuit as quick as we could. We were not the first people to file the lawsuit. There's other firms that did that. But once that filed, they wanted to do story after story. And actually I went out to a nursing home, met some clients, and they actually wanted to interview them. And we're still waiting for our online interview or our in-person interview. But our name got circulated, and then putting out press releases and things like that really helped out. So a lot of new inbound links for the team. Yeah.
Always thinking with that SEO mindset.
You have to. For the team, yeah.
Is that a new type of case for you? Have you done explosion cases?
We
have you
have
done nursing home cases?
We do nursing home, just regular negligence.
They don't blow up all the time. So.
No.
Thankfully.
No, then this one was completely avoidable from what we can see. I mean, the gas company was there 2-3 hours before it exploded. And everybody knows you have to evacuate, right? You have all these people, half of them in wheelchairs. Some of them have dementia and Alzheimer's, we've heard, not very mobile, and they just left them there. And frankly, right before the explosion, our clients are telling us that the staff said, it's okay now, you can go back to your room, everything's safe. And then 10 minutes later, boom, they were a whole in another world. And they're shell shocked still. I went to a few other nursing homes because they got dispersed. Obviously, there's over 100 people there in different other nursing homes in the area. And when I met these people, they were like, our family's gone. Like, some of them don't have family. Some of them are estranged from their family. Some of them are in their 50s, young. Some of them are older. And they're like, everyone we know is now spread out and we're all by ourselves. And the one lady I spoke with was like, as soon as you leave, I had to move my bed next to the window so I can look outside because I feel like this is going to explode again. And as soon as you leave, that's all I'm going to think about till I fall asleep. It's really touching. If not, thank God we have never been in those experiences. But if you are, like, it's a whole nother world afterwards. And and you feel for the soldiers and all who've been through all this. It's difficult, man.
Aside from the relationships that Jon had, right, or has, right, with all the people who you said were standing in the background, what other types of local community engagement have you done that you think contributed to your brand being one of the first to come to mind when an event like that happens?
Throughout the spring, summer, and fall, we try to go to as many community events as we can. We have a tent, we give away things, we get to know the people, but just basically being entrenched in the community. Every person that asked me to sponsor their team, something like that, we sponsored probably 50 or more teams this year just to get in the community. I used to have a theory, if I'm not involved, why should I sponsor a team? But in reality, just getting our name out there and letting the community know that we're here and we care for them. People tell us they've heard of us. They've seen us on TV. We used to do local cable TV. But beyond that, even our new hires, they're like, oh, well, we've heard you have the best reputation for this or that. And we try to put that out there, social media, and just staying involved and staying somewhat visible locally.
As someone who's so focused on tracking and numbers as an accountant, formerly, right?
Oh, accounting major.
Accounting major.
I knew I didn't want to be an accountant, so I went to law school.
How do you attribute value to these things that are not trackable?
Branding in general is not really trackable. It's one of those things that you just have overall feel. Now, I think 5-10 years ago, we all got so excited about tracking digital marketing or PPC, direct lead attribution.
Guilty.
Yeah, we were screaming from the rooftops the past 4 years, and we're kind of chilling out now.
And now you realize that it's a multi-touch thing. Yeah. Somebody said maybe there's less than 3% of people out there that actually need a lawyer when that been in an accident. So you're really marketing to them with direct marketing like LSAs, PPC, hopefully good SEO, but the rest of it is just marketing to this 97% other people and just letting them know that you're good guys, that you're here to help, that you do good things in the community. You're the power player in your area, and if you have great customer service, hopefully, when they see your name, if they're doing that search, because you're at the top, with good SEO and other things at that time, they're going to remember your name, and that kind of all works together. So it's really hard to measure any of that stuff, but overall it's doing good for our community, doing good for the firm. We're always here to help. I mean, we have people call all the time with other legal issues. We're always trying to help them, push them in the right direction. We can't answer all their questions, like if somebody called about estates or family law or something, but we send them somewhere. We always help everyone that calls. And one of the great things is that our intake team, Barbara, she's our main person. She actually gets more reviews than anybody else in the firm. Mostly from people that she sent somewhere else and has helped. And I think that creates goodwill everywhere. She's not allowed to get reviews from the new clients because that's for the paralegals to get. But she actually gets them from the people that we turn away, which is Interesting.
That's such a good point. If I think about a lot of law firms' intake departments, I don't know if a lot of them are taking the time to refer them to a place where they can't help them. A lot of times they're just saying, we can't help you, and they're declining the call. Put a little extra effort in. That extra goodwill you can get can go a long way. It can compound over time. People are looking for help, and it's like, whether you can help them or not.
I think it takes so much for a person that has nothing to do in their life with legal, that's never talked to a lawyer, maybe doesn't have anybody in their family lawyer, just to call. It's so brave for them to do that, or research you and finally make the decision, I'm going to call about this issue. Because we're all busy in life, and it has to be that important to them to actually research and make a call. So we want to make sure, just the legal community in general, that we're willing to help. We're willing to do something. You're not just a number. You're just somebody that we need to send somewhere else, and we're going to give them our relationship and share with them so that, you know, they're in a better place when they leave.
That is actually an incredible piece of tactical advice. We get asked all the time, how do I get more reviews? With firms that we work with where they're doing a good job getting reviews from people who are actually signing up with the firm, but it's still maybe not enough to be competitive with people who are getting more reviews faster. Think about the people that you turn down and helping them out and maybe getting reviews from them. That's actually not a bad tactic.
I still remember one of our conversations we had with Ted from Juvo Leads. He's like a big source of pain points for like his team with intakes when he does it for firms is people call in, like they just need help with like their auto accident claim, not because they're injured, but like my car's jacked up, I need help. It's like, we can't help you with that, but it's like, help them with that, and then they'll recommend you to other people to come back to you next time. But it's like, people are coming to you because they're in a car accident. They might not have been injured, but they need to get their car fixed, so they need to get to work. And it's like, point them in the direction to help them out, because a ton of those calls come in that are just left undealt with.
And that's helping that 97% of people that are not in an accident, like for the future.
Or not injured in an accident.
Yeah, not injured. And then now they're raving fans that are hopefully going to get on your social media bandwagon and take that ride with you into the future.
When you're looking at a team who comes to you and says, hey, like, we need someone to sponsor our jerseys, are you willing to do that?
You said you're doing what, over 50 right now?
Probably, yeah.
Is there any sort of calculation that you do where you say like, okay, they want $500 or they want $1,000. Like, how much is too much? Inevitably, there's a budget,
Yeah.
right? How do you make those determinations, whether it's a team or it's a festival or a farmer's market or other community events?
There's no rhyme or reason to it. I mean, obviously something too much is too much. We're not sponsoring teams necessarily to go overseas and play sports and things like that, but just the local leagues, the ones that need the money. I used to love when it was where my kids were on, because more visibility. Oh, people know the name. But even beyond that, it's still part of our community, and every community needs a little bit of help. So there's no rhyme or reason of what budget are here and there, because you can't track any of it really. It's just there, and at the very least, you're just helping out the youth league, which is so important to us.
Do you do any traditional marketing anymore? Billboards, radio, TV?
We did local cable for years, and I watched our intake numbers over those 4 years we did. So we just didn't do it for a year. I think we did for about 4 years. We saturated Bucks County. So a lot of people still think we're on TV in Bucks County, which we haven't been over a year.
They're so used to seeing the commercial.
Maybe it's streaming or something else, like, because I say people, we're not really on TV that much anymore, but we're in a unique area where we're surrounding, they call it collar counties outside of Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
So we get all the big advertisers coming out to mass TV and things like that. So it creates an SEO problem at times too, when Google wants to put those center city big budget firms higher in local searches where we're at. So we always have to combat that, which is one of the reasons we opened up a Philadelphia office this year strategically. So we have, 8 or 9 satellite offices now.
You guys have a bunch of offices.
Getting reviews is so important because we need to spread them out.
Yeah.
We have KPIs for our staff to do that, and extra bonuses if they go above their KPIs and getting reviews.
The firm has grown over the past 4 or 5 years. What is the next level of growth, the next milestone for Cordisco and Saile?
Probably doubled revenue. We've tripled the amount of cases. We're just preparing for the new world in PI. There's a lot of things going on. 3 major things, right? Cars are getting safer. Accident avoidance is going to be on all cars, I've heard, by the end of 2027, 2028, somewhere around there, right? So that's one.
On all new cars.
New cars, yeah. So there's going to be less cars. Well, we just saw Waymo here too, which makes things interesting.
We have them in Atlanta. Funny thing, over right before Christmas, I think it was Christmas Eve, like right by the mall, there's a shopping rush and there's cars everywhere. A Waymo just stopped in the middle of the intersection, and the whole, like the major intersection in front of the mall was just gridlocked. We just see a fire truck pull up, like put his head in the window to yell at somebody. He's like, oh. And he was just like, turns around like, I don't know what to do in this situation.
You got the safer cars, you got the changing cars, right? Then you have, AI and all that technology. we were just in a conference talking about like pre-lit. Pre-lit may not be around in 5-10 years. It may all just be run through AI programs and communications that way. Sure, the clients have to treat, sure you have to advise them, sure you have to do this and that, but how much is that going to be by human compared to AI in pre-lit? Having a good litigation team in the future is going to protect firms like us, so we're going to be more of a litigation firm. I mean, the other big elephant in the room is the Wall Street money coming in and changing our business. Buying up firms. First, they're buying up all the leads, which are making the leads more expensive.
Correct.
So now at least we have AI to kind of reduce our operating costs a little bit, becoming more efficient,
Save some margin.
and then offshore people also helps out in that regard. But in reality is this year, not even in your business and SEO, but in our business, they're starting to buy up firms, So you're either going to compete with them, right? You're going to die or you're going to get bought.
Yeah.
And every area is going to have its own unique timeline, I feel. I hope Pennsylvania's a little bit longer so we can build out and be stronger. But how do you survive in a world where all this mass marketing money comes in? Like 5 Morgan & Morgans come into your town and just take over all the leads, and cases are going to be becoming so expensive. Our margins are going to shrink. So my theory on that is the only way to survive is to build a brand. How else are you going to compete against that? You have to have a known brand, at least locally at the very least, if you're not going to go, nationally or to other cities. But you can be efficient as you can, but if you don't have the brand, you're not going to be able to stop these monsters coming in.
The one magical thing about building a brand that I've realized is no matter how much money you throw at it, in order to build a brand, you actually have to do real things. Like you can't just spend money to build a brand. Like running a TV commercial kind of helps a little bit, but if you want to build a real brand, you have to be a real person in the community. If you want to record social content, run a podcast, you have to record all that. You can't just offload that to someone else to do using influencers.
Yep.
That's just advertising. That's not building a brand. So it's you have to put real effort in as an attorney now to building your brand. You can't just film one commercial one time and run that same commercial for a year.
One of our other SEO providers was, doing some of the social media for us. They weren't in-house. So we realized that the more in-house stuff you can do, the better. And, as you said, we launched our podcast this year. It's called The Injury Pros.
Great name.
It's not just me. So I have 6 attorneys besides the partners now, and I try to make them all be part of the podcast. And at least 2 others right now are doing it. They're hosting their own because we're the pros. It's not just Mike. We're the pros, and that's going to be our brand, we hope, moving forward, is the Injury Pros. Because eventually, outside of our area, people don't know Cordisco Saile. They can't spell it and definitely can't remember it. So putting that on a billboard or something else is just like everybody else. We're really, in the next couple of years, moving towards this new brand. And we think that's going to resonate and be able to put us in a position to either compete with the Wall Street money coming in, or if the terms be it, we'll partner with them, and move forward.
Did that name get approved by the local bar association?
It doesn't have to be.
It doesn't?
You can have a different brand in Pennsylvania.
I'll tell you what, Mike brought this up to me years ago. He was very, very forward thinking, and he was
I like the name.
He was trying to think of how do we do this, right? At the time, you thought that Jon, may be retiring at some point soon, and the name would get rebranded anyway, right? If it's not Cordisco Saile anymore and it's just Saile, why not use that opportunity to potentially rebrand as something that's a little bit more.
And I was able to secure the URL a few years ago, and I brought up to Jon, and remember, it's timing, because right now our brand in our area is growing, we're scaling. You don't want to hurt that, right? So it's a slow process. We're trying to build up some Google juice, some domain authority as we go on that brand, and the podcast was our major center point of that, and we're slowly going to move there. So that's our goal.
It needs to be a very calculated. This is my forewarning. When we do that, it needs to be very calculated. We need to make sure that any domain migration gets done appropriately, and it's not just, let's just change the website, right? For those of you who are thinking of rebranding, the complexities that come into a rebrand and all of the social media profiles and all of the directory listings and everywhere where the firm has been mentioned in the past, it really needs to be a real digital PR effort to, at the flip of a switch, now we're the Injury Pros, and everywhere we're the Injury Pros.
So people ask me, do you want to do more social media? Do you want to do more of that? I said, let's put a hold on branding right now. There's different ways we get business. There's lead purchasing. We do a mixture of that right now because I don't want to spend too much on the brand Cordisco Saile right now, just because if this is really where we're going, I would really want to save for that and be able to blast that out appropriately at the time. Will it set us back a few years? Maybe, because new brand takes time to build in the community and out there. But it's going to be a natural progression because we're taking it slow and building it building it slowly.
It's good too, because like what you're able to do with the podcast now is you can continue to push out content and kind of learn what's resonating more with your audience, the topics you're talking about, the different lawyers you have, which ones are really resonating, and kind of fine tune your messaging slowly with the podcast and learn what the audience really likes before you launch the brain.
With our new lawyers that we hired, they're all interested in participating in it. So it's not just me. You know, at least you guys have each other. It's like when one person does a podcast, they get busy, they get tired, they just get disinterested in finding new guests. So at least I have some support to keep that ball moving.
You definitely need someone else to like help keep pushing you along. Because it was just on me to record every time, I would push it off frequently. So did you tell the lawyers when you're interviewing them that it was part of their job requirements?
Well, I asked them if they'd be interested in it first, and they said yes. So
moved along in the interview process.
I mean, if they don't want to, they don't want to. That's fine. But we want to have a lot of content. Content's the key in this world, and getting more videos. The reason I did the podcast, I was telling you earlier, is that I don't like getting in front of video and talking about accidents. It's stiff, it's boring, it's mechanical. So just having these conversations, better stuff comes out. It's more natural. You sound better, and you're more confident.
Yeah, and you're more relatable.
Yeah.
You were saying you had one of your podcast episodes just on YouTube had over 70,000 views.
Yeah. And it was about car insurance. Like what kind of insurance to get with a local friend who was at an agency. And we're talking about the pros and cons. And usually we hear about lawyer videos talking about that. It's so boring and it's so cliche because everybody does it. But this got, well, with minimal budget behind it, you know, within 3 days, it had like 70,000 views. And of course, tails off after that.
Sure.
Super relevant topic. I love that you had an insurance like expert as the other person.
When you're creating content, you do run into what you're talking about of like, okay, how many times could I talk about getting into an accident? What do you do after an accident, right?
You could have them on our web pages, which we have done over the years.
Yeah.
But just having like, even new business owners, even if they're not in personal injury, you're creating a relationship with another professional that has a herd of people, 1,000 people they know. And if you put them on your show, you're promoting them. We give all our guests the clips to tape with them, sound bites and everything else for their social media. It promotes us. Hopefully we get a backlink from them. And then they're out there, and who do they know when somebody they know gets in an accident? Hopefully it's us. So you're just growing that community locally, local business owners. But so far we've been able to concentrate on injury people, doctors, different professionals in the business.
It's like even with us, like for example, Supio, their marketing team is great. We give them all the clips. They take them, repost them every couple of weeks from our episodes from MTP in October. They get a ton of views. So I'm like, thank you.
We're working with some where they said, hey, Jon Marc, we want you guys to help us build a podcast just like you guys built a podcast. And we're like, okay, you have to be committed. If you're the guy, got to be on, and you got to be willing to talk to people in your community and be a little uncomfortable. But the payoff is exactly what you're talking about. You're building your own brand, you're networking, you're building SEO value, you're building AI value, just compounds. And
you're building yourself, you're becoming a better interviewer. Like for us, it's direct examination, getting good things out of our clients, question and answer in front of a jury. It works all around, and it's not that hard to set up. To me, it's a no-brainer. But we had a time, we moved into a brand new, bigger office this year, and we now have our own podcast room and all that kind of stuff. So we were kind of waiting for that transition. But so far, I think we might have like 30 episodes in 6 months.
The secret is to have a podcast studio set up. It seems intimidating to do. It's not that hard.
No.
Honestly, you just have to get started with something. And then once you get started, just slowly upgrade it to make it better. You don't have to have like a perfectly polished episode, your first one. Everyone sucks at the beginning. So just start with what you can and then just slowly grow it. But you want to make recording as easy as possible.
And it's not, we always tell people it's not live.
Yeah.
So if you mess up,
exactly,
it could be cut out. It's one of those things where it's comfortable. You're just having conversations about important stuff to your business and to your life. Great for content. Yeah.
What would you say has been the biggest growth lever that you've pulled over the past couple of years to help the firm grow?
We were growing at a slow pace for a few years. And then I thought investing in coaching was one of the things that brought my partner Jon and I together. We were two busy people. He was a lot involved in politics, did some cases, and I managed the whole firm. People say we were like two ships passing in the night. But coaching sat us down monthly, and we had a coach that asked us hard questions. What do we want to do? So we actually created a plan of where we're going to go and what we're going to do next. And then I kind of took over that and figured out like a 10-year plan, 15-year plan, and re-engineered based on our case value and how much fees we get and how many cases we need coming in the door to get to a certain, at least revenue number, because you can't measure profit that much. You hope you have in a certain percentage. But at the time I was 60, which I think was like 13 years, a few years ago, I wanted to be a $20 million firm revenue. You know, we're probably going to hit that in like 5 years just based on our planning. So good leaders in your firm. We're hiring for a director of operations now. We have a few good candidates. The other staff, we hired a onboarding, training, and HR person that just came from a local university. So building that leadership panel, that can help you keep that boat moving forward, because I can't do it all. And now I feed my brain with these kind of conferences and coming up with the ideas. So, CEO and visionary, I'm about 70% of that, because I'm trying to narrow down my cases to be more of a supervising lawyer. I still like to get my hands wet in there, a few of the bigger cases. But then I have clients that came back to me 3 times, and I'm like, I'll take your case. And then I'm there for that client because I care. And I form relationships, and they come back. The clients that I've gone to trial on and spent a lot of time with, whether we win, lose, it doesn't matter. They're our raving fans. They're the ones you see on our Facebook all the time, because they know you fought for them. And they have that feeling that somebody fought for me. No matter what happened, I had an ally, a fighter with me.
Yeah, it's like the original reason you got into the business is to help people.
I just told that to a candidate we were interviewing. I said, you come from the corporate world and you've done all these great things in operations. I said, but this is a business where you can help people.
Yeah.
They come to you in their worst time, and you actually can change lives, whether it's helping them out with medical treatment or, the obvious money that they can get. And, you get a lot of hugs at the end of these, and it's meaningful because, it's tough sometimes when you have a death, for example. You can't fill that hole. You can never change it, but you can have life-changing money for some of these people, and they love you. And it's nice to have people out there that love you other than your family. So it's personally fulfilling, but of course, financially fulfilling. In these stages that we are with rapid growth, it's stressful. Just like any entrepreneur, you're up at night wondering if you're going to make the payroll, if you're going to do this. Are those cases going to be there next month? Like, a lot of moving parts. And during this phase, you're not really taking home a lot of profit because you're growing so fast. So it's a balancing act. And I don't know that you ever stop that. We were just listening to Mike Morrison. He was going from 50 million to 300 million in 5 years, and he made it in 3 years. Like, where do you stop in that process? I don't know if it's ever a place.
I had a conversation with Jon recently. I go, how much money is enough?
Yeah.
At some point, we're not like rolling cash. We're like, if we're planning our growth and our partnerships and how we're going to grow the company. And I was like, at what point is it enough? I was like, I want to be able to see my kids grow up. I have my number. This is my number I want to get to. But everything above and beyond that is great, but not necessary. I got to live a life.
We all have kids, right?
Yeah.
Younger kids and all. And, that's the best part about being an entrepreneur, is that you can be there. I don't want to miss one game, one wrestling match for my kids. I'm leaving tomorrow because they have 3 wrestling matches on Wednesday.
Nice.
I got to be there for it. And this stuff's great, but that's what matters. I always say as a dad, you have 10 good years to spend with the kids. And being an entrepreneur, you get to decide when you're there and when you're not there. No one's going to tell you, unless you're in trial or something. And that's why I don't like to do too many trials, because you're just taken away from your family during these important years. But I'm there. I like to do my morning routine. I like to hit the gym 4, 5, 6 days a week and get my head straight. And I might not come in till a little bit later. But guess what? I'm working on the weekends. There's no work-life balance. You just do what you have to do to move forward. But I always tell my staff, your family's the most important thing. And if you can set up your business to run around your family, especially in these younger years, when our kids are in college, it's going to be a different life. That's a whole nother phase of life for us. Our kids are just starting high school now. We have one in middle school, but that's next phase. Right now, it's my life is determined by my kids' schedules and work. Beyond that, I really don't care about too much more. We get to see friends here and there. That's great, but hopefully schedule some good vacations through the year to help you clear your head, create some memories with your family. That's the most important.
Extremely good perspective on that.
And since the first time I met you, every time you come into Miami, you bring your wife. You have a good time.
It's a work trip now.
And now it's a work trip. Yeah.
Every trip's a work trip now.
We'll be in San Diego. I'll be in Scottsdale next week for another conference. Yeah.
Wow.
And she gets to choose when she can come. But of course, we have 3 kids. So
Well, it's been great to see the evolution of the firm, the continuing growth path of the firm. I mean, it's only up from here. The trajectory's been great. Really appreciate you joining us, sharing some of the insights that you've had and continue to have. And we'll be on the lookout for the Injury Pros, and make sure you listen to Mike's podcast too.
Yep, Injury Pros. Well, thank you guys.
All right.
It was fun.
Thanks for coming on.
Awesome.